right, man, it's on the radar. I got my boy Dante Music in the building today. What up, bro?
What's good, Gabe?
You know,
How are you?
this is cool because I don't really get to have like too many of like people I know. Man, this chair's all messed up. I don't get to have too many people I know outside of, you know, here come through. And the fact that obviously we known each other for a little bit now. We know each other since like last year. So it's kind of cool having you here, man. And, you know,
baby.
I know we were talking before the camera started rolling about your project. And you was like, how did you like it?
Yeah, I really wanted to know.
I fucked with it, bro.
Thank you.
You seem mad nervous
Thank
about
you,
it.
because it's my baby. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I really am like personal about my music, like my creation process, everything. Like, I'm really like, I'm sensitive about it. So I know people
Not
like it.
sensitive. Before we get into that though, like tell me how you like started in music. Like, you know, how did this all come about?
Okay, so from the beginning.
Oh, you can start wherever you want. I don't care. We
Okay.
can do beginning. We can do middle. We
So-
can do, you know, anything.
Okay, cool. Let's do beginning. So when I was growing up as a child, like in the 4th grade, I found out that my dad was Cameron's manager.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I found out in the.
So in the 4th grade, did you understand like what
I-
Dipset was? What
it was
who
interesting
Cameron
because
was?
It was kind of like a culture shock because I was like the Yu-Gi-Oh cards, not really talking, like not social like that. I was just like hanging out with a specific 2 people every day.
I
And
feel
then
that.
one day my dad came to school, had on his Dipset chain, and the next day it was just like, "Oh, who's your dad?" And then it was just like a whole
Damn.
switch up, and everybody wanted to know who I was, and it was just like, okay, you know what I mean? But that was how I guess I got introduced to music. But then I just started like liking. I wasn't even listening to hip hop at the time, so I didn't know who Dipset was, to be honest with you. But I started getting into music. I was going to church, and I was like, I noticed that I was good at singing, and then I was doing the head of the choir, et cetera, et cetera. And I started creating my own music.
Oh, that's dope. See, now I love hearing that, and you know, it shows on your project like how different your style is. So when you
you.
tackle this project, and you got there's a lot of shit to unpack here. Like you had some singing, you had rapping, you had some spoken word on there. Was that spoken word done by you?
Yeah.
That was done by you. Okay, I wasn't completely sure. So how did you like approach this project? And you know, because it's different when an artist does different types of genres on their project, or you know, is like diverse enough to do singing and rapping and then spoken word. How did you approach making theory?
So in 2016, I made my first project called The Deep, and it really wasn't that deep. Like I just did a couple songs that I thought were like what I wanted to sound like, or like, you know, I just tried it. Like that was my first time trying music, so I decided to do that. And then I decided to take a break from music because I didn't feel like I was being authentically myself. I felt like I was kind of like trying to figure out something and not trying to figure out who I was.
Right.
So then I decided to like write a song about just how I felt in one specific moment in time, and that song was Stupid.
Oh, okay. So with that being said, how do you feel that like the other songs on your project, like, you know, I want to specifically talk about Welcome to the Future. Because
Okay.
when I clicked on that song, it's not what I was expecting at all. You know what I'm saying? I
Oh wait, is that the spoken word you're talking about?
yeah.
Do you know that? That's Bugs.
That's Bugs?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, that's Bugs.
If y'all don't know, if y'all watching, that's I didn't even know that. I don't know
Yup.
how I didn't know that. Bugs is an on air at Power 105 and
Yes.
Sirius XM. Yo, shout out to my guy L Bugs.
Shout
So
out Bugs.
how did you? I mean, we all know Bugs got like the best voiceover.
Yeah,
voices.
like,
you know, like
instantly, like, as soon as
he should be doing like cartoons and all
what I
that
was
type of
saying.
shit. So
That's
how did you get Bugs to do it?
So I met Bugs last year. We were mad. Like we weren't really like the best friends, but we were super cool. You know what I mean? Like he was such a positive vibe. I'm not used to like just people being positive for no reason, and he's like that. And I watched his life, how he like switched over. Like he lost a dramatic amount of weight. He's a very positive person. Like he changed his life because he wanted to. So I was inspired by that.
Okay.
So and then also like he's really good at just talking on radio. So I was like, how can I use Bugs in my life and my story that would, you know, make it like kind of a story? And so I was like, yo, he would sound good as like the voiceover to like a kind of like a virtual world that I'm making. So I put him like what's the guy on Power Rangers, Voltron?
Yeah.
He's kind of like the Voltron to the project.
That's sick. And, you know, I love, like, how it went right from Welcome to the Future into because I was not expecting, because, like, you know, prior to you sending me your music, I didn't really hear your music like that before. And I was not expecting, like, that song to be, like, the first, like, musically comped song on the album. So how do you, you know, go from rapping to singing, and, you know, how do you, like, decide, like, what you want to put? Because, you know, you could just do an all rap project or an all, you know, singing project, but, you know, what made you want to do that?
I guess I think from the beginning it was just like I wanted to be a singer, So that's why I kind of put the first song has to be me singing, has to be authentically that.
Right.
But also I feel like throughout my life, my art has developed in a way where it's just like, oh, now I know how to rap out of nowhere. And like, oh, now I know how to like do videos and stuff like that. So
Right.
it's just like, I'm always like gonna just take it on and just try it at least. So I guess it came from that. And I kind of wanted to incorporate everything in this project because I wanted it to be like the best depiction of myself as an artist to the world.
Which one do you like better, rapping or singing?
I like singing for my emotions, but I like rapping to talk shit. Like, it's just like a fun way to just talk shit.
Right, and I noticed, and the last record on the album, Time New York, like talk to me like how about how like being in New York has like influenced your sound. Like, were you ever around? I guess now that I know about the whole Cameron connection, were you ever around like your dad when they were like doing
like,
music or anything like that?
There were a
Like,
couple times when oh my bad.
No, you good.
There were a couple times when I was like younger where I would be around my dad on a music video set, or just like in a car with him while he's doing something business wise with Cam and them. And I met Cam a couple times. He's kind of like an uncle. Me and my sister would call him Uncle Cam. So it's just like, I've always seen him, but I actually never really gravitated to his music. Like, that wasn't something that I just did because I didn't feel like it fit me. It was like some cocky Harlem, like, and I'm just like, I don't know, I guess I'm kind of like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I never resonated with it, and I always noticed that he was like a super popular guy, super famous, and just everywhere he went, everybody knew who he was. And I guess that affected me in a way because I kind of wanted that aspect to be a part of my life.
And I know mental health also plays. You talked about mental health on your album. So explain like how, that's such a big topic now, especially in 2018, 2019. So explain how like, you speaking about mental health and how I guess you found an outlet to speak about it through music. So, yeah.
So I honestly feel like we're all like, the millennials, I feel like we're all just trying to find it. Like, we're all lost in a certain kind of way, you know what I mean? It's like really difficult because we are so entitled and we think we're supposed to be this type of person, and like we have to do things a specific type of way. So for me, it was more so trying to like make my music a therapeutic outlet for myself. So because everybody's still healing, like especially the people around me is so crazy. Like I was just talking about things like this, like we're going through so much and nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to actually feel it, and I'm just like,
yeah, I think it's also tough because a lot of us were raised by parents that don't really understand mental health, especially because like, a lot of people in the city or a lot of, even Hispanic parents, my parents are pretty okay with it, but like, you don't really get they don't really, if you say that, oh, I think I'm feeling depressed or I'm feeling anxious, most of the time they'll just tell you to suck it up.
Yeah.
And also the fact that our generation is kind of the first generation that really grew up with smartphones and all this stuff like that, and we're constantly glued to our phones and our computer, especially working in media. It's like I'm here 8-9 hours a day, probably more when I go home, just sitting on my phone scrolling through Instagram, posting, writing articles, all that bullshit. Like, people don't really think about how much that affects us, and then we kind of just get lost in that and kind of it becomes like this part of us that we kind of like self-loathe and like looking at other people. Like, I think the best quote to put it is that no one posts their losses on
no
on
one's a
social
loser
media.
on Instagram.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody just assumes that you're automatically winning at all times.
Yeah.
And nobody ever sees that you're actually struggling, or you have depression, or you have anxiety, or you're going to therapy for any of this stuff like that.
Exactly.
So how did you I elaborate a little more about how was it therapeutic for you? Like, have you ever had to like go to therapy for any of that? Or
I've actually never been to therapy. I want to have a
therapy's
therapist.
good, man.
I know. I really need a therapist. Like, I'm full on aware that I need a therapist, but I just feel like I don't have the time right now or the finances to even worry about a therapist. I'm trying to get there, so it's kind of like what I do is take my music and just like pour myself into it, and then it's just like, okay, I got it there. I don't have to deal with it anymore. It's just like free to the world to feel however they feel about it, because I know exactly how I feel about it. So that's kind of
telling you, man, a therapist is the way to go. I had one back in high school, and I think it was probably like the best decision. It was during my senior year of high school, and I think it was like the best decision I ever made, because like at that point in life you're going through such a big change.
Yes.
It's a little different than what we go through now, because obviously we're a lot older than that. But it really just being able to speak to someone who wasn't somebody I knew, not like one of my doctors or my parents or my aunt or my cousin. It wasn't anything like that. It was just like this completely random person who knew nothing about me beside what she had in her hand. And like, I just would speak to her and tell her about like my day to day and like what I was feeling and how I was feeling, and like she would respond, and then you connect with them on like deeper levels and stuff like that. It's like interesting, same way that you do through music too.
Yeah.
But
Question though,
yeah.
do you think was
you
it
got some question now,
uncomfortable
hit
at
me.
first? No,
hit
was
me,
it
hit me.
uncomfortable at first to do that?
See, now I think I might be a little bit more uncomfortable because I'm older. So I kind of, and back then, you don't. What did I really go through at 18? Versus now, like I've been through college. I've seen like all types of shit. Yeah, you see like all types of shit. Like I've been through the anxiety and the depression in college. But back then it was just kind of like, oh, we're putting you in this room with this stranger because we think you could benefit off this, and then you see how it goes. And it was like this really nice lady, and it was funny enough because we bonded over. I think we bonded over Game of Thrones and music.
I need to get into Game of Thrones.
Yeah, man.
It's like haunting me. Like everywhere I go, it's like,
hey man, if you start watching you were supposed to start last week. If you started watching an episode every single day, starting like towards the beginning of February, you'll end up on the last episode of the last season, right before the new season premieres.
Oh, I might have.
Anyway,
on.
but besides Game of Thrones, yeah. So me and her, we just bonded over Game of Thrones, and like she was into hip hop, and we just kind of like made this connection, and I only got to see her for a few months because she like made her own practice, and then I try to be like all tough and be like, I don't want therapy no more, and then that was it. But I highly recommend therapy. Like it's something that I've always wanted to go back to, is just finding the time with work, and like I'm assuming like with doing music and stuff like that, it's hard to like get away from that and just pull off of it.
It's like you're like engulfed in it.
All the time. Yeah. So what's coming up in 2019 for you in terms of like music or performance or anything like that?
So 2019, I have I'm working on a mixtape.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a new mixtape. I'm gonna tell you the name. I didn't tell anybody else the name, so it's for you.
Drop it.
It's
Let's
called
go.
Karaoke.
Karaoke.
Yeah.
This is mad funny because we about it.
Exactly.
If y'all didn't know, it was his. I should have said this to start off with, but it was my guy Dante's birthday yesterday. You're seeing this probably a few days from now, but we're actually going to like this karaoke spot tomorrow night, so this is gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be super fun. Everybody's like really excited about it.
I know it's gonna be a good ass
and
time.
it's gonna be like a portion of the project in a way.
Okay.
In a way.
Oh
yeah.
wow! You gotta have somebody videotaping it for the project.
You gotta have somebody
videotaping
all.
See, I like now you turn your birthday into work too, man.
Yeah, period. Everything has
literally
to be.
never stop working.
No.
So tell me about the project. The mixtape. Tell me about like what what can we expect off of it?
It's gonna be like I'm taking like songs that are like influential to me, that made me the artist that I am, and like remaking them or like just covering them in a way just so that I can like pay homage to the artist that like inspired me before I go into my next project.
That's very dope. That's very dope. So you got performances coming up, anything like that? When can we expect the mixtape?
Hopefully performances coming this spring.
Okay.
Yeah. I really want to get out there and start showing the world the Theory set stage, because it's like a whole different world now. Like it's so different when you go from like in the studio making the project to actually putting it on stage and telling that story on stage. So I'm really excited about getting that done.
So when can we expect this mixtape?
This mixtape, I don't know. I don't really have a specific date on it yet.
Okay.
It could come sooner than later, because I'm already recording stuff. So it's just like, I don't know, and I don't have anybody telling me what to and not to do. So it's just like
you're just letting the ideas flow. I bet. Well, hopefully we'll get that soon, man. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you for stopping by.
Of
if
course,
y'all didn't already
Gabe.
wish him a happy birthday, I know it's probably the week after, depending when I edit this. But
All February.
make sure to go to my boy's fucking Instagram, wish him a happy birthday. Let the people know where they can find you on social media, where they can find your music, all that beautiful shit. Just let them know.
What's up, guys? Dante Music. You can find me on all platforms. DVNTEMUSICK. Hope you guys enjoy the content. Holla at you.
Yeah, Theory out now. Go get that. It's Dante Music.
Wavy.